Greetings, YouTube! Today I'm going to be reviewing a Todd McFarlane figure, which I refer to as a Hydra of some variety, or you could probably consider it an anthropomorphic snake demon of some variety as well. I don't have any idea what this thing is actually called, but I happen to like it because of its anthropomorphic traits, which I thought was quite nice. So here we have the figure. Obviously, no legs. This section of the figure is rubber, fairly well executed. Very much looks like an armored snake of some variety. The scales, the underbelly scales, get decreasingly small, or increasingly small, I should say, which is very realistic because that's what actual snakes look like. Though the tails don't look quite like that. They get rounder with less, but then the last section actually has no bottom scales at all on it. I know this because I used to own a Burmese python. Then it transitions at this point right here into hard plastic. The articulation is a waist joint here, and you have some articulation there, and at the hands, and again, wrist and shoulder articulation. And it has a very menacing, powerful overall appearance, this hulking mass. Now, from this webbing in its hands, you would assume that this is some kind of aquatic creature. Though, I have to tell you, if you have a tail like this, I think your best bet would be just to put your arms at your sides and let that tail do the work. This is a lot of muscle. It's going to move you through the water quite effectively. I don't think you're going to have to swim. But I didn't design the figure. I don't know what the figure's background is. Maybe there's a reason it's like that. I'm not positive. But it definitely has the appearance to me that it's an aquatic creature. It came with this figure, this accessory here, which is a large bone or maybe even or tusk of some variety. It has that kind of vaguely tusk-like appearance that it's using in a menacing manner. So you get this impression that it's very primitive. You also have a little head articulation, and that is fairly well integrated here. With this, looks good. These upper scales are well sculpted. The face is nice. You got that. That's a nice touch. It really is. Though he has a really bad underbite. The eyes are very are solid colored. But, you know, this is supposed to be some kind of a demon or a creature like that, so I'm not too concerned that it doesn't have, you know, pupils and irises and stuff like that. The back is kind of interesting because it has this vague cobra-like appearance to me. These body paintings really makes me kind of think of a cobra shape, and it was kind of interesting. And then you have here this back piece, which begins to transition into the tail, which was also very well done. These scales are well executed. They don't blend perfectly, but again, that's where the point of articulation is, so I accept that. These are well done. The transition from shoulder to arm is well executed. Though obviously this was painted on by someone else, because unless he figured out how to do it with his tail, he's really good doing blind painting. That would be kind of interesting to watch now, wouldn't it? This creature painting its back with its tail. That would be kind of cool. But it's a very simple figure. I mean, there's not a lot going on here as far as play value. I mean, as far as, you know, it doesn't do much. It doesn't have a really dynamic position. It is hulking and menacing and dangerous looking, and it does that very well. But, you know, you don't get the impression this thing would be fast, because it wouldn't be fast on land. It might be much faster in the water, but it would be an awesome figure to use as an inspiration for a creature in a fantasy or even a fantasy role-playing game, or even as a primitive race of beings from a science fiction role-playing game. This would be quite appropriate to a Star Wars game, in my opinion. You know, this would fit right into some of the creatures' style. It's the style of creatures that you've seen in the Star Wars universe. Not so much the Star Trek universe, but you know, the Star Trek universe has never been quite as dynamic in that regard. The films are more dynamic than the television series was, but the creatures never seem to have the same oomph, to my mind, as the Star Wars universe did. But here you go. This is a Todd McFarlane figure, which I'm calling a Hydra of some variety. If anyone can tell me what the figure's name is, that would be cool.